everyone, it's Lisa here from Business in Heels, and I'm joined today by a really amazing person, and I want to introduce you to our new and latest up-and-coming ambassador. So let me introduce you to Sandy Chong. Welcome, Sandy.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you here, and I'm just going to tell everyone a little bit about you because you're just amazing. So Sandy's been a really key influence in the hairdressing industry. She's currently the CEO and Director of the Australian Hairdressing Council and Director of the COSBOA, which is the Council of Small Business Organisations of Australia. And she speaks on behalf of the industry to the government, creating relationships to support an industry that's often overlooked. She has this vision of creating an industry that has the highest possible standards in ethics, technical ability and workplace practices. And she's also the owner of her own salon, Suki, which she's had for over 36 years. And she's a multiple business award winner. So she's had so much real life experience. So Sandy, you know, we're really excited to have you here and talking about, tell us a little bit about what you're really passionate about.
Well, I guess at the moment, if I was really passionate about anything, it is making sure our industry is well represented, you know, especially during the times of the pandemic. And in fact, even before that, when it was the bushfires, in many of our communities, there were real concerns about small businesses, including hairdressing. But when it came to the pandemic, just after, you know, those bushfires in 2019 and 2020, hairdressing was just, you know, really thrown around and overlooked. And I think you might remember the 30-minute, you know, appointment. That was like, that really showed us that the government just did not understand our industry. And it's been a real battle, making sure that we are continually consulted with and that that we're represented at the table, you know, with those that are making decisions on our industry. And also making sure that government understands how small business really runs and how small business people really are, you know, how difficult their job is, expecting us to wear all these hats that we're meant to wear and understand, and yet we don't. And we don't really know what those hats are until, of course, we open up the doors to our business and then go, well, I didn't know I was meant to know about that and that and that and that and that. And yeah, and so I guess I'm passionate about representing small business, representing the hairdressing industry. We're sisters with the beauty industry as well. And we make sure that hopefully they're looked after as well.
Yeah, and I think, look, you know, just from the outside looking in, a lot of the changes have happened very suddenly, putting a really huge impost on, you know, as a hairdresser, the owner operator, and everybody, you know, then clamoring to, you know, get the greys covered up, right?
Yeah, they will be. And it's definitely, once everyone goes back in Victoria, New South Wales and the ACT at the moment, you know, we actually have real concerns about the health of our hairdressers. And I know that I think it's become really obvious that we're very important to the community. We do help a lot with mental health, self-esteem, self-confidence, all of those things. And hairdressers just love what they do, so they want to get back to work as well. I will say that I am advocating at the moment that the word COVID and vaccinations is not actually mentioned once you get past the front desk and you have your hair done. Everyone wants to enjoy their visit at a salon, and we don't want the conversations to just be all about COVID. And there's not a lot of positive stories around COVID, so it's like, you know, we'd rather keep the conversations more positive for our guests and also for our hairdressers as well. But there is definitely a challenge. I mean, the rules, the regulations can change daily. The numbers are changing daily. And I guess through consultation with different businesses, then the roadmaps are changing quickly. It's like trying to, you know, run against a moving train. You know, it's really difficult to keep up with everything. And we can get things wrong only because you say one thing one day and then it's already changed the next day. So there's been huge pressure in keeping up with that. Also, too, I think the government do make a lot of statements and they haven't thought of the details. And our industry, of course, expects us to know the answer to everything every time there's an announcement. And if the announcement doesn't suit them, then we can get crushed by a lot of people, because they pretty much like to shoot the messenger when really we're just delivering, maybe some news. So yeah, I get shot a lot, which is really interesting. Last year was a lot worse than this year, I must say. Yeah.
But you've done an amazing job of keeping industry abreast of just so much information. I don't even know how you do it. By the time you consider all the different states and all their issues, plus the federal ones, I mean, it's a massive amount of information.
Yeah, it is. And it's definitely challenging. And I think one of the challenges is making sure that we deliver the right information. And in saying that, though, there are those, as I said, who are not happy with that. And we really get attacked almost by consumers and as well as our industry. So everyone at the moment has an opinion, and everyone, has, I guess they certainly have their views. And so it's a challenge to, one, make sure that we do give the right information, make sure that we listen to industry as well. But we do get a lot of consumers also ring us up because they're demanding to have their hair done. And I totally understand what it means to, the greys are coming through, their hair's getting really long, and they're all looking a little bit shaggy. And once again, I think we do play an important part when it comes to mental health. And so, I will get consumers calling me up demanding that they should be able to get their hair done, etc. So that one's always interesting too.
Look, and I think it's a real testament to your leadership style that, you can be open to all that different feedback and still channel into something productive that you can go back to the government, you can go back to the owners, and, you can do as much as you can. It's a challenging time to be a leader, and everyone can only do the best they can with the information they've got. And so, I think the leaders that come through this period are going to, certainly being tested into challenge of fire.
Yeah, we have been tested, and, obviously I'm not the only one. I think anyone who leads an association has really been tested in 2020 and 2021. And I know that many of our colleagues, including me, in fact, we got through 2020 by trying to be as stoic as we could. And then, of course, 2021, I think many of us, including me, had health conditions that were really just, I think, working so hard in 2020 to work through the pandemic and guide people through the pandemic, and trying to be very fair to everybody as well. And so I think that many of us, including me, have put things in place just to make, I think their survival, I guess, making sure that we survive this year and think clearly through this year as well, make it productive, make it positive, and hopefully give really good messages out to industry.
Yes, so let's talk a little bit about your background, because, you've been in hairdressing and in business a long time, which is part of why, you've developed such a great leadership style. And recently, of course, in amongst all this testing time, you've become a published author and you've told a little bit of your story. So share with everyone a little bit about why you got into hairdressing.
Well, in my story, which I loved doing with you, I have to say, because I think you do reach a point where you forget about all the things that you've done. And, I wrote something just not long ago too, that everyone should tell their story, even if they don't tell it to you, but even if they just tell themselves their story, because you forget about the achievements, you forget about the hurdles that, you really had to climb over, and everything that was, I guess, negative. I don't really concentrate on the negative things in my life, but it did allow me, in doing my story, to just recognize, I guess, how far I had come and what instigated to the reasons why I chose hairdressing. And really the first reason, when I think back, I mean, you're very young when you look at what you want to do. I think I was probably around about 12, 13. And I had a cousin and an aunt who I thought were really cool because they were hairdressers and they worked for very well-known establishment at the time, which was Vincent Di Lorenzo. He owned these salons in Sydney, and he was on TV, and they used to assist them. And I remember they had, so I'm going back, this is where I'll show my age. They had page boys, they had these, sort of Mary Quant type of makeup. Again, showing my age when I say Mary Quant, but, the page boys and the mini skirts and the high boots, and they looked really cool. But I think more than anything, they were happy. They were always laughing, and they were having a good time. And I wanted a lifestyle like that. I wanted to have a good time as well. And anyway, so with the book or the chapter that I've written with you, it's all about, I guess, the challenges that I had when I was younger, and the fact that when I chose to be a hairdresser, everything that I was, I guess, challenged with disappeared when I entered the world of hairdressing. And I loved that world. I loved the culture, the vibe, the noise, the people, the excitement, the celebrities, the people I've worked with, my team, the creativity. And I think what I didn't expect, though, was the opportunities that just carried me through life to where I am now. And I never expected to travel and use my work, to be on the circuit, use my work. And yeah, the shows, yes, the awards. I think there's nothing greater when you get a standing ovation from your industry or an award, award of recognition. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that the book was really great because it allowed me to remember how far I've come. But also it made me realize that I've got so much more work to do as well.
Oh, wow. The future's looking bright and exciting. But and if anyone's interested, the book Rise Above is on our website and they can read Sandy's chapter. But you're an amazing businesswoman. You've had Suki for now quite a number of years.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to place you in that age bracket. But anyway. But doing that, there's lots of business highs and lows. It's not just a straight trajectory to business awards. So share with people a little bit about some of those highs and lows that you faced.
Yeah, I think that I think that life is a roller coaster. And I think if you're in small business or if you're in business, it is definitely going to be a roller coaster. And I've had extreme lows and just some lows. I think probably off the top of my head, some of the things that have really affected me in business have been things like not having great landlords. And so now we're our own landlord, and that makes so much difference. So that is where it affects you in business, I think. I've had partnerships that have not worked before, and I think they were incredibly disappointing as well. And they would definitely represent, once we finished our partnerships, they were certainly lows within my career. I think probably a recent one, though, that I will share is, earlier this year I got Bell's palsy, and that was probably one of the lowest points of my life where I thought my career was over. And I think even you did not know this, because this happened after, when you were promoting the book, in fact. And I don't talk about it a lot because it's still very, I think, raw for me. But I did discover, as I said, a lot of our association heads actually did suffer a few different things, from heart to shingles to breakdowns. And I think by being incredibly stoic through all of last year and just really not looking after myself, I ended up with this. So if anyone doesn't know what Bell's palsy is, it's not something that is that treatable. You can have it for 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, and you wake up and you look like you've had a stroke. And it's devastating. And I spent the first day sobbing for a day, and I was in emergency. We thought that we'd had a stroke. The next day I sobbed all day again because I was worse. But by the third day, I decided that I wasn't going to have this. And I went on a mission that this was not going to happen to me. And I did everything that I could possibly think of. and saw anyone that I could possibly think that could help me to get over it. So this was this year in the April. So for my birthday, you know, I wouldn't let anybody see me. In fact, I really didn't leave the house. And I damaged my cornea as well, because when you have Bell's palsy, you can't close your eyes, so you can't blink, you can't wink or anything like that. And you realize, you know, just how lucky you are to be healthy. But it was a really good lesson for me. And I think that anyone who's in business, I think business is hard. And I think that business people work really hard because, as I said earlier, they wear so many hats. The pandemic has not been kind to any of us. And so I think if there was a lesson learned for me, it's, you know, make sure I do breathe, make sure I do go for walks, make sure I clear my head. And last year, you know, the hairdressing industry was really attacked in different ways. This year I decided to actually not respond to any idiots. Every now and then I do, and then I regret it. So I'm not going to do that. Last year I would respond to anybody at all times of the day and night. This year I've tried to be, you know, a little bit more conscious of my own health and my own well-being. And I think I did the thing that a lot of business people don't do, and that was I didn't look after myself. So that's probably my biggest low, which was a very recent low and massive challenge for me. You know, I was having like 25 needles in my arms and legs with acupuncture 4 times a week for 6 weeks. It hurt me so much. And a whole lot of other different treatments that I would do, besides walking around the house, you know, trying to do all these funny face exercises. Anyone that saw me would just go, what is she doing? But anyway, I came good. And so that's the good news.
But I think, you know, thank you so much for sharing that, Sandy. And I guess it's so true of this whole issue about balance and care. And, you know, I just think that just encapsulates why you're an ambassador for Business and Heels, because, you know, we need people to be honest, and it helps others, you know, gives other people guidance that they're not going to be the only ones, that you do get over things, that, you know, people need to be mindful of not just going full out without having some balance. You know, it's great to strive to be successful, but, you know, you also need to have family, and you need to, you know, look after everything, because, you know, you can't give to others and help unless you know, yourself in there somewhere. It's really important.
Absolutely. And I think that there are a lot of leaders that are like that. And, you know, there's so much pressure is put onto them. And, but, you know, at the end of the day, I think successful people have that balance. And I feel that I have had that balance, and I lost it during the pandemic. But many of us did, because it was a very demanding 2020. And, you know, I guess if, you know, if there was one really good message I could leave with everyone today, I mean, I've always got heaps more, but is, of course, you know, make sure that you do look after yourself and surround yourself with the right people, of course. And the ones that don't serve you well, then just let them go. And I think that's probably decisions like that I certainly made. I was probably stricter with that this year, because I really, after having that happen, I really had to make sure that I was healthy so I could do my job well. You know, so for a few weeks there, which is probably the biggest break I've ever had, in fact, in, you know, over 36 years, where I was meditating and doing things that I never do. And so, yeah, I think your health must come first, so that you can do a better job and a good job at all times. Yeah.
Wow, that is such great advice. So for all of you listening, thank you so much, Sandy, for sharing with us a little bit about yourself. You're an amazing person, an amazing leader, and I think people listening who've listened to this video will just be so impressed. If anybody wants to touch base with Sandy, of course you can through LinkedIn or through our website. So thank you very much, and we're so excited to have you on board as an ambassador.
Thank you. I'm really honoured that I've been asked. Thanks heaps, Lisa.
You're welcome.